I'm Jeannie Denizard, and on the phone with me is a woman who steps into Barbra Streisand's shoes and has paid tribute to her all over the world, Sharon Owens. She'll be joined by Franks Sinatra tribute singer Sebastian Alzaldo as Reagle Music Theater of Greater Boston presents Barbra and Frank, The Concert That Never Was, on Sunday, February 23rd at 2 p.m. at Reagle Music Theater, 617 Lexington Street in Waltham, Massachusetts. So you have toured all over the world as Barbra Streisand. What first inspired you to portray her, and what inspires you now to portray her with each performance?
How I first got started doing Barbra was kind of a fluke, kind of funny, because I was a singer first. I really didn't know I had the look. And that was about, 13 years ago. I've been doing Barbra for 13 years. And I was in LA doing a cabaret show. The producer of the show said, "Why don't you sing this song, He Touched Me, by Barbra Streisand?" And I said to him, "You don't want me to sing that seriously, do you?" And he's like, "Yes, I want you to sing it in a beautiful gown." And I said, "Hey, do you mind if I spoofed Barbra Streisand? Do you mind if I made a joke?" And he said, "I'll give you one night. If it bombs, then no." So I prepared for it, and I went out and crossed my eyes and did some funny little things and sang He Touched Me, and it was funny, and it brought the house down.
Wow.
After 3 months of doing that for fun, when the 3-month show ended, a friend of mine in the cast said, "Why don't you do it for real? There's a real occupation for tribute artists and legends in Vegas, and you'd be great." So I actually decided to take it a little more seriously and not spoofy and over the top and kind of really crazy, and started working on her voice and her pronunciation and her look, and the rest is history.
Okay. Were you a big fan of Barbra Streisand to begin with?
I say this not with any disrespect, but no, I really wasn't. She wasn't my era. I'm her son's age.
Oh.
Oh, but I don't mean to say that. I loved her music, and my sister was the big fan, actually. When I was, I guess about 17, 18, doing theater, I also had a write-up, because I was doing equity theater back then, and I had a write-up that said, "A star, pardon the expression, is born." And they were comparing me to Streisand's voice even back then, and I didn't even put 2 and 2 together. I really didn't.
So in a way, it was kind of fate.
A lot of times, I think it was. It kind of fell into my lap. I'm from a musical background in theater. I didn't plan on being a tribute artist or an impersonator, but it's just something that's like an actress, and I love doing it, and I love to sing those beautiful songs. So it's really a blessing.
And there are many songs that you have to remember, I imagine.
Oh my gosh. I sing the hits. I mean, I really do. When she does her concerts now, sometimes she doesn't do the hits. And so I always make sure I do the songs everybody wants to hear.
Oh, of course. American standards are big anyway, but I imagine people may make requests during your performances?
There's a portion of the show, I don't want to give it away. We do kind of sneak out there and say, "Hey, is there something you want to hear?" Although we have live musicians and band, we have an excellent MD piano player who can play just about every song that Sinatra and Streisand did.
Wow,
So
that's awesome.
It would be stumping us.
Now, how do you prepare to become Barbra Streisand? Is there a process involved?
Wow, that's a funny question. That's a good question, actually. There used to be, like when I first started, just like anything, being an actress or a singer, you would have to prepare for it mentally and make sure your costume is just right. But just because I've been doing it for 13 years now, it comes very, very second nature to step out onto the stage, and the second those lights hit and the music goes on, my act begins. Off stage, believe me, I'm not Streisand. I definitely don't have her checkbook.
Oh. Now, what surprised you about her character? Were there any surprises? I mean, was there any quality that she has that you didn't expect to be portraying?
Oh, interesting. Well, what I had to work on the absolute most, which you can tell right now when you're talking to me, I don't have a New York accent. I mean, once in a while, my act comes through my voice, and I can turn it on right away, and I can turn on my New York accent. But I had to make tapes and tapes of her monologues and her movie scripts. I put them on a cassette, and I would listen to them over and over and repeat them so I got the certain dialect. And that's how I studied that part that I really didn't expect to be so difficult.
And there's such a wealth of information. You probably know all of her movies by heart by now, by studying.
Oh, gosh, I've seen them all, but not like some of the fans out there. Some of the fans, believe it or not, they know more than me.
Isn't that always the way?
Yeah, they know way more than me, actually.
Now, let's talk a little bit about the show. Now, this is a tribute show to Frank Sinatra and Barbra Streisand, and there'll be film clips and photo stills of Frank and Barbra during the show. So it's not just a tribute show, it's actual, the legends will be up on screen sometimes during the production. There's going to be stories about Barbra and Frank as well?
Funny that you're asking that question, because it's one of our absolute best twists. People come to the show and they don't know what to expect. And boy, did that work for us. We take you back as if they were doing a concert together. So it's not like a Legends show. There's jokes and there's stories, and it's very theatrical.
Well, what's amazing to me about this concert is the concert that never was. You know, you have two big personalities. Stringing them together must have been very tricky.
We did a lot of studying, not really on Barbra's TV specials, but Frank's TV specials. And the reason why is because a lot of the jokes and the things we created were from some of his duets he did with women. Some of the funny jokes he did with Dean and Sammy, we put a female twist to them, and we drew a lot of material from that era. But what's funny about that is Frank did not do any of his duets in the studio together with any of these artists. You know, Frank refused to be in the studio with, let's say, Liza Minnelli or Barbra or any of them. And Barbra begged him to go in the studio together. You owe me that, Frank, to at least go, we can go in together and sing this together. He would not do it with anyone, including Barbra, which is quite a funny little charade we do in the show.
Oh, well, I think it's kind of sad, that aspect of it, that you could have that personal interaction with someone and you insist on not having it. It kind of takes away from the piece, I think.
Yeah. A lot of people just bought his duets and listened to it and was just in awe. But they didn't realize that Frank would sing his part and Eliza or Barbra or all these other people would sing their part, but they never sang it together. Very funny.
So he was pretty good at faking that then.
Yeah, he sure was.
I was going to ask you this question, but I don't know how you would have responded to it. Did you ever have the chance to meet Barbra in your travels or any opportunity like that?
Believe it or not, that is the number one question I get when I meet and greet the people from the audience at the end of the show. It's the number one question. They all want to know if I've met her, and the answer is no. No, I've never met her, and I don't know if I want to. It's not that I don't want to meet her, it's just I would maybe get too nervous, or I would be embarrassed, or I would faint. But if I was to actually have the opportunity, I would probably thank her for paying my mortgage.
No.
I'm an actress, and I've studied her moves and her voice, but I don't study her life. People get lost in the fact that they think it's Frank and Barbra up there together.
I imagine if you met someone that you were paying tribute so long for, and then you meet her and maybe she's not exactly the way you think, it might have affected your performance a little bit.
Sure. I thought about that. What if she was mean to me?
Or what if she wasn't the way you thought?
My personality is more of, I would stand back, and I don't even think I'm not aggressive. I wouldn't go up and shake her hand. It's just, that's my personality. I would probably stand back and just go, wow, it just would be neat to be close and see her like that, rather than have to meet her.
Now, I know you have a solo CD tribute to a funny girl. Why did you decide to make that CD?
That's really fun, because I do both. So I will do Barbra and Frank, which we ran in Vegas for 8 years. And then I do my solo show, which is also in the symphony I just kind of take you on a journey through her looks, her different songs and eras.
And her beautiful nails, of course.
And her beautiful nails.
You can't forget her nails. My mom said that on the phone to me the other day.
Do I know it, because I have to go every 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. So getting back to the show, what would you say sets the show apart from other productions people might go to see, and what's the best reason you think people should come to see this production?
Well, what sets us apart is that it is an extremely unexpected journey. It is all original. It's been going for 8-9 years of the creative process. It's just what you would imagine. 2 huge egos on stage. When you think about it, who's going to close the show? And that is a very funny twist.
Oh my goodness.
So, it's just fun.
Now, as far as what's next for you, I know you're going to be touring around the world. Is there anything new that's coming up for you that you'll be tackling?
Well, we just got back from Holland, and so we've just been home for not even 5 weeks. So we probably won't go to Europe again for a year, but we do have some offers to go back to Australia, possibly go down to Chile, which will be crazy. There's a lot of things in the works. We're a very busy act, and God, I'm so grateful for the work. I'm so grateful to be able to sing for a living and act for a living. It is just